Are you wrestling with questions that really matter but just keep coming up empty or perplexed? Well, you've come to the right place. Christian Research Institute President Hank Hanegraaff, host of the Bible Answer Man broadcast, is committed to equipping you with answers that have stood the test of time. Our aim is to help you mine the Bible for all its wealth, so you can share those riches with a skeptical world still hungry for spiritual truth. To join us on air with your question, dial 888-ASK-HANK, which translates to 888-275-4265. For more information, go online to equip.org. And now, here's Hank Hanegraaff.
Thank you very much, Randy. I remember not all that long ago, Bill Nye, the science guy, saying, "I'm a speck on a speck, orbiting a speck among other specks, among still other specks, in the middle of specklessness. Therefore, I suck." Now, Bill Nye, the science guy, has become enormously popular. These kinds of statements have made science cool. And now we have astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson. He was in Charlotte. And last night he was communicating something exactly the opposite, and it was still cool. In other words, it doesn't matter what your premise is. You can say, "I suck because I'm just a speck orbiting a speck," or you can say, as Tyson argued, that we are not insignificant. And the reason we are not insignificant is that our bodies are literally made of stardust, that we are one with the universe, that we share the same DNA as the bacteria that infest our intestines, the same bacteria that may cause infectious diseases. So he's now turning the tables on Bill Nye and saying, "No, I don't suck. I'm significant because I have the same DNA that a bacteria has. And therefore, I'm very, very special." Now, what's interesting is you can have Bill Nye with his perspective and the crowd's roar, or Tyson with his perspective, and maybe they roar even louder. I still remember when evolutionists like Richard Dawkins argued that a boy had no more intrinsic worth than a banana because we all descended from a common ancestor and share the same DNA. So he had more of the Bill Nye vibe. In other words, we're not special at all. We're utterly insignificant. But again, Tyson has turned the tables. But either way, it's all sheer nonsense. The reason we are special is not the composition of our DNA. We are special because we are created in the image of God. And it is that fact that assures that a Down syndrome baby is afforded the same dignity given a distinguished scientist. In any case, Tyson has long ago made the departure from knowledge into the dangerous world of anti-knowledge, and people applaud. He has departed the world of science and waded into an illusory world of science fiction, all under the guise of making science cool. Well, why do I bring that up? Well, I bring that up because it's high time that we learn discernment skills, which is precisely what this ministry is all about. Teaching you to discern between wheat and chaff, heat and light, so that when you hear these kinds of statements and the roar of the crowd dies down, you don't just go on as though you've gotten information. You process, you think, you discern. And then you become always ready to give an answer, a reason for the hope that lies within you with gentleness and with respect. There's another article in USA Today, and this article I was very, very pleased to read. The title of the article was "Womb with a View. Fetuses react to faces while inside mom." This is an example of how fearfully and wonderfully we are made. The findings come from the journal Current Biology, and they demonstrate that it is possible to explore sight along with cognition in babies before birth. Says Christy Dunn of Lancaster University, it turns out that the preborn respond to faces while in the womb in a similar fashion to infants. Think about this. So you can take the picture of a mom, and the baby's going to react to it differently if it's right side up or upside down. In other words, they're responding to the image with cognition. Also, they discovered that the baby's eyes are not tightly closed. There are times when the baby's eyes are open and blinking. So there's a lot we're finding out about human embryology. And the more we find out, the more horrendous the crime, the sin of aborting those made in the image and likeness of God. We must ever remember that embryos are not potential persons. They are actual persons with potential. As written in a fantastic article in the Christian Research Journal, it's titled "The Human Embryo, Potential Person or Person with Great Potential," written by Clinton Wilcox. This article, it's an article that took me a couple of times to completely process. It's not for the faint of heart, but it's worth mastering. The reason it is because as human embryology becomes more and more plain and average and, as it were, in the out of the ivory tower into everyday vernacular, we are learning that human beings made in the image of God in the womb are sacred. They're special, just like infants are, just like old people are. Must ever remember that embryos are not potential persons. Again, as the article points out, they're actual persons with potential. I'm the same person I was when I was an embryo, and as such, it is as wrong to kill me now as it would have been to kill me then. Again, the Christian Research Journal, an award-winning magazine that no Christian home should be without. If you're not subscribing, please do so. I wrote the cover story, The Sunni-Shia Split. This is a story with huge intrigue. And when you read it, it's all about the homicide of Muhammad. Who did it? You got to read the story. It's a cover story. But this journal is, well, it's chock full of great information. Not the kind of stuff you'll hear from Neil deGrasse Tyson.